the thing that I'm seeing now is we have to learn how to integrate this into our already existing practices and in the workflow.
Yeah. So if you're a dentist right now, you probably have some opinion about AI. Maybe you don't doubt its ability to optimize practice management, but you're a little suspicious about how it actually can make you more productive clinically.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the last year, there are now several FDA approved standalone AI software packages available to purchase, and they're for caries detection. But they're by companies like Dexis, Henry Schein One, Overjet, Pearl, and Vidya Health are the big ones. There's some others. So why don't you tell us? Well, we have a graphic. Let's bring it up. It's kind of our, yes. Okay. Thank you. And so why don't you tell us first, like, about these companies' software packages, but focusing more on the commonalities.
Well, what have I noticed? Boom. I think dentists are going to probably say, I noticed the cost.
Right.
And you can see that there's somewhere in the range of 200 to $600. And so the expense is always going to get the attention of a dentist.
So it's a monthly subscription.
It's a monthly subscription to get the software. Mm-hmm. And so, as you already mentioned, the caries can be looked at. But some of these things are the software is getting more sophisticated. They're looking shapes of teeth and pulp and roots. Others are looking more like, I call it lesions of endodontic origin. I'm not real familiar with all these codes because they're not codes we use in our office. We had a rule in our office, if we use codes, and we use lots of codes, everybody has to understand the language of the codes. So I'm not real familiar with the codes, but I think you can just put this on pause, and if you can look into this, you can see some of the more critical distinctions. But the idea is basically most offices have a computer that holds all their radiographs. Mm-hmm. And then you buy the AI software, whichever one you decide. I have an opinion. You do too. And it runs AI on your radiographs while you're doing something else. And what's really good about this is you're working over here, but behind the scenes, this thing is going on to identify things that maybe were overlooked, maybe things that aren't visible and you didn't see, but the computer calls out areas of interest. And there's even color boxes. There's different colors that call out either caries or maybe a poor marginal adaptation under a restoration. Lesions, I already mentioned, but lesions could be periodontal lesions, calculus, like that. It could be lesions of endodontic origin, or maybe pick up a lesion like David Landwehr talked about that is non-odontogenic.
Okay. So looking at this table, the first three are a little different because they're a little more limiting because they require you to have a specific imaging system already in place. And so that would be important to know before you purchase it. And then you can see that there's 2 by Dexis, and Clinicians Report notes that the DTX Studio Clinic might be the one to go with because it can integrate or what does it say? It can integrate the 2D radiographs with 3D cone beam and 3D data scans, whereas the other one, the Dex Assist, can only analyze 2D radiographs.
Now that's cool for an endodontist out there because if you're endo, you probably have a CBCT. You probably might, even if you're doing implants, you probably have an oral scanner and they have 2D. And so I like it when you say you can look at all those, put them together and see things that maybe any one of them doesn't disclose.
But you would have to have the imaging systems already by those companies.
That's right.
In place. So the bottom 3 on the list are a little different because they can integrate with a lot of different imaging systems. So why don't you tell us more about the Overjet, Pearl one, and the Vidya Health?
Okay.
Because these are a little different.
Yeah, they all look at radiographs, and their hero application initially out of the box, is my impression. Now, this is all new, was caries. So they could all find caries. And they could even, some of them can even like, Pearl and Overjet, I think all of them can even map it out and put little call outs on your x-rays. So while you're practicing over here, this is happening over here, like I already said, but then it's not just, look at tooth number 14 because there's something, no, it puts a box around and it tells you where you should go do a little more digging. And one of the big problems here with humans, which is going to make AI go, I'm pretty sure, is we're all human. And, we all can see colors. And there are 50 shades of gray on a radiograph at least. So we don't have, as human beings, great distinctions of seeing these subtleties. AI can be trained to look at each and every pixel. And I liked how some of them could eat. Well, I think Overjet and Pearl both have segmentation. A few words about segmentation. Segmentation is there's a box and it calls it out. And you're over here working. You go and you say, there's a box there. Why should it be a box? Well, then you can use segmentation software and it will tell you this area and it'll change the pixels. It'll do colors to distinct between different things, anatomical structures, pathological structures. And I thought that was really cool that while I'm working, somebody is giving me a second opinion because I'm human and I might have missed something.
I really liked how these bottom three can look at the last 18 months.
Oh, that's cool.
Graphs to track the disease progression. Now,
can we say that's a recall system?
Pearl and Overjet apparently do it automatically. Vidya AI does it also, but you have to do it on command, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not calling out all the things that would have been really thorough in the script, but, some of them, the bottom line is be sure your radiographic package or system that you're using in your office is compatible with whatever you're looking at. That would be step one. And then if it is, then explore what you actually do specifically as a dentist. You might not need some of these other features, but if you're an endodontist, you're going to want to look at your CBCTs, your 2D radiographs, right, and your oral scans.
And now, I just want to point out that we were talking about how it can track the last 18 months. Well, for Pearl, though, that is an added cost, like it's an added feature. So you might want to also inquire what is included with your cost and are there added features you can add? That might be a question you want to ask.
Yeah, because you can take one that looks cheaper and you go, well, I'm going to go with that because it can do quite a bit for me, but not everything. But then you find out after you got it that like maybe I really am using my 3Ds. I really do want those scans. And now there's a bump for another price. So maybe if you compare feature for feature back here, maybe the price distinctions are not as much as we think.
Okay, well, I think this helps a little bit. As far as accuracy comparisons across the different products, now that research is not really available yet because the products are still really new. But in a year or two or whenever more research comes out about how accurate these AI software packages are, one thing that I think that you can pretty much count on is that they are probably going to conclude that AI assisted and a human assisted by AI does a little bit better than just a human alone. That's probably a given.
I would disagree with you favorably in that it's probably going to make a lot of difference.
Okay.
Because I made a living in Santa Barbara doing a retreatment. And I don't know how many times the note came over with a periapical film. I don't see anything here. Would you please evaluate the upper left quadrant? My assistants took pictures. And before Ruddle ever saw them, they often saw frank pathology that the referring office didn't see. So when I hear we might find more things, I am really sure you're going to find a lot more things.